Hi, I'm Jessica Lawson. We're here in Massachusetts today with Mr. Robert Nash for an interview. He's the founder and president of Nash Holdings, Inc. It's a company out of upstate New York. It's my pleasure today, Mr. Nash. How are you?
Yes, Jessica, nice to meet you too. Thank you. Thank you for the interview.
Good, thank you. So, Mr. Robert, would you please tell us about your professional and business background?
Yes, my background after high school and some business college in the early 80s. Ridley Law School of Business in Binghamton, New York. And then I spent some time with some small businesses of my own, painting company with a family member or two. And I got into banking in 1987.
Okay.
And I started with business loans and home loans, smaller loans, and it started more of a growth in the private equity loans, private investor loans. And of course in 2008, everything kind of had a falling out with the meltdown financial crisis. And then I reorganized myself, and since about 2013, I filed with the Securities Exchange Commission for Nash Holdings, and that's pretty much of a quick, short answer for that.
All right, very nice. And what are the advantages of the Congressional Jobs Act and general solicitation? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, the Congressional Jobs Act has many layers to it, and the layer that we're partaking in is the Congressional Jobs Act with general solicitation, and that means that companies can then file with the SEC, and they can raise investment money on their own directly through the country or even internationally with certain specific investors that want to come in early on an IPO. And the Securities Exchange Commission finally wrote the language in about September of 2013. We filed in February of 2014. And we believe we're the first New York company to file and one of the first in the country.
Wow, awesome.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
When did Nash Holdings file with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission?
Yeah, in February of 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, I just answered
Great.
that, I guess, already. And it's an ongoing process. So we're not publicly traded yet. We're still a private entity.
Okay.
Raising money to investors. And then when we decide later, we go through the process of getting our ticker symbol.
Okay, nice.
Okay, thank you.
And what filing regulation are you filed under?
The regulation is Regulation D, and it's a 506C filing.
Okay. And Nash Holdings has a past of several years with the largest international top Fortune 500 CEOs and their companies with the Corporate Responsibility Association and their annual Commit Forum. Please tell us a little bit about this background.
Sure, yes. After the meltdown, a bunch of the companies, Fortune 500, started to realize that they took a big hit due to other problems with the financial markets and everything that happened with the implosion of toxic assets. So they started to look at, let's be more transparent, and they brought together the Corporate Responsibility Association on the East Coast to start. And I think that started about 2008 or 9. And then Nash Holdings in my name, started getting involved. The first year was 2011. And 3 years in a row, we were a featured gold member company, corporate sponsor. So of the platinum, gold, silver, of hundreds of different Fortune, even 1000s, we were 3 years in a row, and we were really just a startup. And
Awesome.
it's very interesting. That includes ringing the closing bell with some CEOs, which I was 3 years able to partake at it. Very interesting to be able to meet the traders on the floor and have that. Actually, the first time I was on the floor in New York Stock Exchange was my mother's birthday, September 27th.
Nice.
So that's very ironic because she was a hardworking woman raising 5 kids as a single mom.
Wow.
So that's pretty ironic.
Yeah, it is.
To be able to have that. And then that was the first year, and I have 2 more years after that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so but the key of the corporate responsibility is really about transparency, philanthropy, social causes, recycling,
Nice.
water, paper, plastic, the things that we need to give back. But also if it's a publicly traded company, it's important too because investors feel stronger investing in a company that's doing corporate responsibility issues and different topics. Rather than a company that may not be even doing anything corporately responsible and could be trading on the stock market And what are you really investing in? Who are you investing in? What type of it? The leadership, executive team, etc.
Exactly. Very good.
I've learned a lot from CRA.
Oh, right. I would imagine. And could you tell us a little bit, what is the holdings business model?
Well, the holdings business model has two legs, really. There's investors that come in as partners, investment partners, in different business sections, food and beverage, real estate. So like Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, would probably be your most successful valued holdings company. His common Class A stock has been back and forth, above $300,000 per share.
Oh, wow.
So that's a huge value of a holdings company. And I always wonder when I look at other large companies, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, their stock could be under $100 or $200, but they're more of a presence worldwide. But what Warren Buffett's done with Berkshire Hathaway has grown a really strong holdings value of many partners. So that holdings with Nash Holdings is we have some partners that we anticipate to, with the right investors, to open up more businesses, whether it's like restaurants or food and beverage or health, organic foods. We have different other partnerships like the dental, orthodontic appliances. I have a partner with a private airport strip in upstate New York with over 100 acres. We're trying to follow through an investment on. My own different financial, educational program, and aloe vera company. So there's a lot of different things, and recently some other with precious metals and so forth, and now even with music and entertainment and film production.
All right.
So it can really go different directions.
Right, so it's an entire umbrella.
Right, and some of those things you may own like certain percentages of as the investment company, and grow that investment and maybe own more down the road. Some you might just have a smaller percentage, like 20% or 30%, but it's the value that all of those partnerships bring to the value of the whole holdings parent company and the investors who own stock shares in that company.
Okay.
So it grows with value.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so Nash Holdings can grow in the future years and decades into many directions, like the Berkshire Hathaway's history and Warren Buffett and his team.
Right, because you're not just a middle-of-the-road company, and with the right transparency and trustworthiness that investors and business partners have with the leadership, the executive team, the board, advisory boards that we may bring in as well. Retired CEOs from companies that we could put on advisory boards that would be willing to come once or twice a year and meet with us and help us with more success. That's really important because, with some letdowns with the economy, if you've got different sectors, some sectors may do just fine, like food and beverage.
Right.
People always have to eat and fuel for gas stations and so forth, oil changes. And then other sectors may go negative during a meltdown or a financial crisis.
Okay.
So you can, from what Warren Buffett's done and other holdings company, and anybody should really research Berkshire Hathaway. We have their link on our website just to show people the value of their company. It shows their stock shares traded.
Okay.
So that's on one of our tabs, I think the About tab.
Okay, awesome. And so, as you were saying, Nash Holdings' website shows many business trips and partners worldwide. Can you share some of this history with us?
Yeah, we really started to travel more in the last year to 2 years. I've been over to Europe several times and met with different people in different countries. Right now, UAE, I'm trying to complete a strong relationship with a company there that's very open to reaching out to American business partners.
Nice.
And maybe opening sister manufacturing plants, for an example. Turkey, Cyprus. I've been to Italy, Dublin, London as well. Other parts of Europe too. And we have also some really good people down in the eastern coast of Africa, the western coast, Ivory Coast, with Cameroon, and we're growing some things there. So we have a couple of gentlemen there that are really putting a lot to bring Nash Holdings and grow our name and what we're about with the governments, and hopefully that will spread throughout Africa in the future years.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. So you are currently in your IPO in offering Nash Holdings common stock shares, but how much are these shares now by direct discount? And when do investors receive their actual stock shares or certificates for their shares?
Okay, so IPO, initial public offering, every company that goes IPO, in most cases, I mean, some cases can buy like a shell company on the OTC markets over the counter and directly start to trade quickly. We're looking to do more like a small cap, mid cap, or even larger with the right investors up to the big boards. So at this point, before you start trading, you're bringing in investors like in early funding rounds.
Okay.
Some people call it the road show. And our shares right now, I just increased the transparency to the Securities Exchange Commission that we're going to increase to $1 per share as a private offer. So that means investors will that believe in the leadership of the company and our business model, they can buy the stock now by investor subscription agreement, and then later they receive their shares when we receive our ticker symbol and go and start listing publicly with a consent letter from the Securities Exchange Commission, etc. And then what they're doing is they're waging or hedging that by getting the stock now early by investor agreement, that they're going to get in before we start trading in what the market drives the stock to.
Right.
So we could open up at $3, $5, $7, $10, depending on where we're at that time in a year or 2 or 3. Could be sooner, could be a little later, depending on a lot of things, the economy and things that are happening with the worldwide business model. But currently we are up until after Christmas. We thought we would keep it at 25 cents a share. So the investor now can still pick it up, invest in it through a private investment deal at 25 cents a share.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when we decide we'll put an end to that, we'll let investors know.
Okay.
We'll put it on the social media, and our Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., and our website, saying that we do plan on increasing it in the near future without giving a date, because that really depends on when we decide.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much. So I understand you're also ready to file a new LLC for smaller investors that have different interests as well. Can you tell us some about this opportunity for them?
Right, limited liability corporation LLC gives us a little bit more flexibility with a group of investors that all are limited partners, and those are things that we could do, like with film production, music production. I would like to anticipate that we can have subscribers on an international internet subscription channel at a low cost, like a yearly subscription. So that's one avenue we could do. There's a couple other things I've been thinking of mind, but right now I'm really finding more background history on film production, motion pictures, movie, music videos, music bands, and other artists too. I do have agreements with artists in Japan and Greece and a few other places that they can start to place their artwork on a certain type of a subscription channel as well. So that's very interesting. So that would be more like towards an LLC, to where we can get a group of maybe 10 or 20 or more partners. And down the road, who knows where it would go. It may end up being its own spin-off public company, or stay private, or where it would end up with Nash Holdings down the road too. It just depends on the partner.
Right, so possibilities are endless.
Yeah, that's very, very good options.
Yeah. All right, so what are all of the business, the different sectors, if you would share with us, that are, say, the current top 3 or 4 directions that you are promoting and concentrating on presently? Okay,
yeah. I just mentioned the film production and setting up professional acts there and getting really their name involved with us and our name involved with them to show the value and the belief and trust with the business model in the arts and entertainment. Also precious metals. I've spent a lot of time out west, and I'm talking to some newer, smaller exploration companies that are teaching me a lot about different precious metals right here in the States, as well as with our folks over in the continent of Africa. We do have some wholesale gold family and suppliers to the governments that we're trying to seal those relationships up to offer some gold internationally at a discount, and maybe like an investment program there. Also as well, real estate is as you know, is very always a lucrative and valued business sector. So real estate, whether it might be strip plazas or future restaurants or related convenience stores or grocery stores, that would have to be up in the top two. So those are like the top 2, 3 right now that I'm really interested in. Although again, it's bountiful.
Right.
If you get the right people at the right time and the agreements and the people want to merge and have that acquisition, and the investors are behind it, or new investors as well.
Okay, awesome. So for people that may want to market your IPO and company, say on a part-time basis, what are some of the advantages to do this and possibly even consider going full-time with the company? You already have some international reps, I understand?
Yeah, like I mentioned in Africa, we've got some people in India, the partner I'm trying to work with in UAE, Turkey as well. We have some American Turkish business owners and dual citizens, which I've spent a trip in Istanbul already in Turkey, and we're trying to meet some more. Even though the economy right now is very bad in Turkey, it will come back and things will loosen up. But as far as part-time reps, what they would do is they would have to come in and show the belief and passion in what we're doing. And of course, they would get in the foxhole, so to speak, and talk to other business owners about what we're doing, if they would want to possibly invest. Of course, I'm the one that has to close the subscription agreement, investor agreement. But people that would do that in a part-time, they could earn like future stock grant shares, like gift shares. And if they went full-time where they were really successful, they could even start on a salary basis after proving themselves.
Okay, sounds good. So your website is quite transparent and it's full of information. You have real company photos, videos, and more. You don't like using stock images, I understand.
A point of me when I started looking at websites, and I paid web designers in the past, and it seemed like they always were going to make, and this is going back 10 years ago, it's a lot different now, but it never seemed to get the things that I wanted out there, and it was always many communications and more expense, So I started looking at that, and I started looking at other websites, and it seems like there's a lot of fluff.
Right.
Like the websites the pages are very short, depending on the company and what it is, of course, but there's a lot of websites out there, you don't even know who the executives are of the company, there's no bios, the images are mostly stock photos of actors or models and high-rise or boardroom meetings and so forth. And it's kind of, you know what I'm talking about? Do you see that a lot yourself?
I do.
And it's kind of a turn-off.
You don't really know who they are.
You don't know what they stand for, and it's good that we have a lot of our own pictures and videos. But the other thing too is like even to call a company, a lot of companies don't even have their phone numbers there anymore.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a contact form, and as you probably, I don't know if you've experienced that, you fill out these contact forms, do you ever hear back from people? Like
no,
it's
I don't.
lost in space,
It does.
I'd like to be able to call a company. So we're proud of that, and even though web designers will still contact us and say, you need a newer look and all that, of course, they're looking, to gain some employment or a job with us, to get paid. But we're shortening up a few things to kind of look a little bit more modern, but we still like to keep our real down the roots look.
Everything personal.
Very personal, and people see who they're dealing with.
Great.
And videos like this.
That's right. Perfect. So I also understand you own a couple of thoroughbred horses with a business partner and some other partners that you're really excited about.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, your thoroughbred horses?
Yeah, we have. I grew up in the city of Binghamton, New York, so I was like a city kid, And I always loved animals and everything. So I met a partner who has a great background with research in horses and thoroughbreds. So we just started to build a little startup business. We've had a couple horses now for about 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
2 thoroughbreds, and the mare has a very good pedigree. So it's something that I believe could actually be, as you see, the investments, people do invest in horses. There's some that have started with smaller investments in horses that have brought in a lot of cash winnings,
Right.
So it's something that we thought about being in New York with Naira, New York Racing Association, and the amount of tracks, Saratoga and Belmont, different tracks. That's something that we thought with the right investors, we could pick up the right piece of land for a good ranch, and right now we board them at a nice little spot that we keep in a quiet area in the country, but we'd like to expand that. So investors that are into horse racing, keep that in mind, keep an eye on our website.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
All right, so we're here in Boston together. I understand soon you'll be meeting a rock and roll musician. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, that's why one of the reasons why I'm down here. Yeah, we're trying to bring in more musicians. The film production, I have a very good partner with, Anna Maria Cinciulli in Manhattan. She's got a great background. You'll see that more on the website about her. We're adding some things, anticipating very soon. But I'm starting to talk with some more musicians in the growing phases. That have maybe small record labels or small contracts where they tour. And if we could get 4 or 5 or 10 of those type of bands that really believe in what we're doing, and we believe in what they're doing. For instance, one band I met recently, a group named Wayland, they have shirts called Rock and Roll Against Trafficking.
Oh, wow,
Human trafficking. So they were promoting those shirts at one of their concerts recently. I thought that's very corporate responsible and humanitarian, So those type of groups, if they wanted to work with us, they would benefit with us with future investors that we could anticipate interesting, bringing in and partaking to maybe build that subscription international channel where these type of groups could have their platform, and they could also download their songs for pennies on the dollar after a small subscription. Same with movies, short films, feature films, long full-length films, comedians, artists, things along that line. So it's kind of still in the thought process, but with the internet now and everything, you do so many, and that's why we're building that international with reps, because those people will be in place when we start to put things out like that. They could represent their areas or their countries and really be able to make themselves a nice little income by being involved with that as well.
Awesome. Very good.
Thank you.
All right, so I viewed recently your NASDAQ press release about the precious metals we were talking a little bit about before, and the new development launch. Can you tell us some more about the precious metals?
Right, nomad exploration, and I've had one partner. We're still in a little bit of a disagreement about a few things on the way to go forward. So I started talking to some more precious metals, smaller metal companies in the western United States, and looking at the load claims and the Bureau of Land Management. So there's a lot to learn there, and even in upstate New York, we have a Herkimer diamond mine.
Oh, wow.
Have you heard of Herkimer diamond? No. It's been a diamond mine around there for years, and these diamonds now are getting known worldwide with jewelry and other things. There's several jewelry artists in Europe that have been really attracted to the Herkimer diamonds.
Ooh,
so things like, and as well as even internationally. But it's nice to know right here in the United States we have tons of precious metals.
Wow.
And I think investors trust it, or would trust it more, knowing that it's here in the States, a little bit highly more regulated than other areas.
Exactly.
So stay tuned. Stay tuned
Awesome.
for the precious metals.
Very cool. Thank you. And so you said a little bit before you have a new relationship with the UAE, with a very interesting and optimistic partner that you're considering some bridge with the U.S. and them in the UAE and business areas.
Yeah, the UAE is a very interesting place. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, I've been to several times. And trying to meet the right people. I went to the World Art Show there. It was incredible in Dubai.
Wow.
Yes,
Nice.
There's a lot of things happening in the UAE, as everyone knows. A lot of investments. One of the things that they're looking to do is to also gain interest with American manufacturers or other companies, but let's just say manufacturing, to bring like a sister or subsidiary manufacturing company to the UAE that they could partner with certain investors in the United Arab Emirates. And same with Turkey, same with other countries as well. The UAE right now, this one person, his first name is Al Delhadi. He's got a strong background in the oil and gas business for years. He's retired from that now. So now I actually met him last trip over there, and we had some common goals and values. So I think it's going to work out with a little bit at a time.
Right.
And again, it's the technology, the products. If there's products that they don't have there, that they could market to just the UAE and then maybe some other countries, Jordan, Oman, and around the region, Saudi Arabia, that would be a big plus for a relationship like that.
Okay, awesome. Sounds great. So thank you so much for meeting.
Thank you,
That's all
Jessica.
my questions I have
Very
for you
good.
today. Yeah.
Thank you. It's really nice to meet you here.
Nice to meet you.
And thank you for the interview, and hopefully we can do something again sometime
Right,
soon.
thank you. Let's meet next year sometime.
Yes, yeah, after the New Year.
That's right. After the year.
2019.
All right, we'll catch up with you then, okay?
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.